You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you with me here today. Looking forward to today's Total Wellness Tuesday show, where we are going to break down the 5 steps to simplifying your nutrition. Now, I chose this show topic for today because there's so many different tips and viewpoints and experts and different things you're being told to do with your diet that we can step back and we can begin to look at the foundation, the fundamentals of a good whole food nutrition diet. So that's what I want to go over today. And then based on that, you can look at all the different diet plans. You can look at whether it's longer fasting, shorter fasting, higher carb, lower carb, and decide if it fits within an overall healthy foundational diet. Now, I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is for those people that are pretty advanced and they've been doing this for a while now and they're experimenting with different diets to make sure they haven't gone too far off track. But also, if you're a health coach listening to this, if you're a doctor listening to this, you work with patients or you work with clients, it's also a good episode to be able to share with your clients or patients, or maybe you just share it with your friends and coworkers or family, your siblings, your parents. Just say, listen to this show. If you listen to this show, you'll see just a couple things to do that won't dramatically change your entire life and being, won't really have to change your entire routine, and allow you to get a whole lot healthier. So I believe this is going to be able to help people that are quite advanced, those people trying to do a lot of different biohacking or different types of advanced nutrition. And it will also help those people that have really never found great nutrition and to begin to ease into a plan that they can then move on to the next level from there. So 5 points today, 5 simple steps. I'm going to kind of take it from the beginning and move it right through the end. So we're going to cover a lot of bases today, but really what I wanted to do was ensure that it didn't overwhelm you with information. And then I just made it 5 things. That's it. And honestly, I want you to start with the first one. Just start with this first one. And then as you're able to add another one, go to that. So again, if you're advanced, well, just make sure you're doing all of these, that you haven't gone too far. And if you're someone that is just getting into nutrition, don't worry about doing them all right now. Master each one for about 3 weeks. Once it becomes a part of your lifestyle, a part of your daily routine, then you can add in the next step. And you might say, well, I want to do them all at once. That's fine. But remember, what matters is consistency in the long run. So sure, short-term results are fantastic. We like those too, but not at the sake of not being able to follow through. So I urge you today, start with each one of these, 1 through 5. I put them in the order that I believe that you should do them in based on the success that we've seen with clients. Okay, let's get right into the show. Let's get started. Excited about today's show topics because I'm going to start to do this each week for a little bit. And that's because, topics like this start to get me really reinvigorated and excited about different podcast topics. So what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks is just really look at what's the 5 steps to get started with exercise and make sure, obviously, that you haven't gone too far off track with your sleep, with your overall healthy lifestyle. We'll break it all down. We'll go exercise, we'll go detoxification, healthy living, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But the other thing that I wanted to mention as well is this, the idea, kind of the way I got started on this was last week I did a show called The 7 Keys to a Long, Healthy Life. And I was not looking to blow anyone's mind with anything brand new. I give a lot of cutting edge research on my Friday reviews, but what we have to understand is it can never overpower what we've already known to be true for 6,000 years with Ayurvedic medicine. So that's why a lot of times I just want to shift. I want to say, hey, let's get back to the fundamentals. If you're doing the fundamentals, great, then you can move on. I do this all the time too with nutritional supplements. People are saying, should I be using N-acetylcysteine on a daily basis? Should I be using Triphala? Should I be using ubiquinol? Should I be using PQQ? All these different questions. I say, okay, all of these supplements can be fantastic. But if you are not covering your bases, If you're not getting an activated multi, if you're not doing a good daily fruit and vegetable blend powder, an omega-3, a daily probiotic support, maybe even a digestive enzyme. If you're not doing those, we don't need to move into the other realms because all those other individual nutrients work better when you've hit a baseline, when you have a foundation for everything. It's kind of like, should I use nutritional supplements? Well, do you eat a whole food diet? Try to eat, if you're going to spend money one place or the other, spend money on a good whole food diet. And then if you're someone like, well, I'm just not going to eat well because I don't like vegetables, well, then you have to do something like a daily fruit vegetable blend and a daily nutritional support. You have to get your nutrients, right? So you have to make sure that you're getting those in there, but it's a foundation. I really love doing these shows because sometimes we kind of get right in there and really, really deep level of wellness and weight loss and anti-aging. But I think it's really nice sometimes to step back and say, from an overall 30,000 foot view, am I doing things correctly? And then I would love you to be able to share these foundational episodes with a lot of people in your community that you believe would benefit as well. All right, so the first one is this. And I'm going to base this on essentially, and I'll get to this on point number 3 or step number 3 today, is that I want you to start your day with a smoothie. And you can use any all-in-one powder in the world. Does not matter to me in the least. But what I want you to do is this, and this is the whole reason why I want you to do a smoothie in the morning. Because what is the alternative? It's one of those things so don't get me wrong, I'm going to get to a smoothie in a moment. But what's the alternative? What are you doing for breakfast? Cereal and orange juice, like the typical American diet? Or are you eating chicken sausages and eggs? Think about how much work needs to be done by your digestive system first thing in the morning, eating a really high protein meal, a really heavy meal with a lot of fats in it. You need to be able to make sure that you're producing a lot of stomach acid first thing in the morning, that you need to make sure that your bile is going to be moving as well to break down all these fats and the hydrochloric acid to break down the protein. I'm not saying you can't eat high protein foods, but we're going to save those, just like Ayurveda talked about, for a little later in the day. Now, with each one of these, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backlog of podcasts. If you haven't gone back and listened to the previous Cabral concepts, the first one that you want to listen to on this topic is episode 613. It's called Learn from This Ayurvedic Breakfast and Morning Routine. It takes you through how eating easy to digest foods that stabilize blood sugar. And you might say, how does a smoothie stabilize blood sugar? We're going to get to that in one second. That stabilized blood sugar is going to give you plenty of energy while also eating something that's easy to digest, that doesn't take all of your energy. So all of the podcasts, don't worry about really all the individual numbers for the shows. I'm going to link them all up today, episode 1271. So just head on over to stephencabral.com/1271, and I will link all of those up. Or I should say my amazing team will link all of those up. And the next one I want you listed after that is 761, the fat and toxic flushing breakfast recipe, because that's what we're going to talk about right now. A little later in the show, I'm going to be talking about how many fruits and vegetables you should get on a daily basis. Remember, if you're eating a cereal bar, or you're eating cereal, or you're eating the chicken sausage for breakfast, or maybe just skipping breakfast, it's going to be challenging to get in enough high quality antioxidant and high fiber foods. Super important to not overlook this, because I did a show called The Only Proven Anti-Cancer Diet, episode 1026. And again, I'm going to link all of these up today. It's going to be a big show notes show. And if you want to do your best to prevent cancer, again, there are no guarantees in life. But if you want to look back and just say, you know what, I did everything I can. If you look back and say, I did my detoxes, I did my every 12 weeks functional detox, I did my labs, all those things, and you ate your 7 to 9 servings of brightly colored fruits and vegetables every day, listen, you did it. Like, you worked at it. Maybe you weren't perfect, but nobody needs to be perfect, and nobody can be perfect. But here's the thing about a smoothie. You put in some of those veggies. You can put in some fruit. And if you want to listen to my podcast on fruit combining, you can do that as well. And what you're doing is you are blending all of that together and make it your favorite. You don't need to make a disgusting smoothie that you'll never drink. That's okay. Put in the things that you really enjoy. I'm telling you right now, as you start to get into a healthier lifestyle, you're going to love making smoothies. Or maybe you make something like an acai bowl. I talked about that on last Friday review. The mermaid bowl, right? That's a great thing to do for your kids. It's a great thing to do for yourself. And super nourishing, a lot of fiber. I've given many research studies before that showed that when you take the fruit in its whole form and you blend it with all the skin and the fiber, it is enabling you to stabilize blood sugar. Then you add in additional fruit if you want. You can add in some healthy fat, such as, well, whatever you'd like. Maybe you want to add some chia seeds. Maybe you want to add in some flax. And you could do something like our daily nutritional support. That is literally packed full of 100% of all the vitamins and minerals that you need for the day, electrolytes, daily detox components, extra fiber, and 15 grams of protein to stabilize blood sugar. And I also tell people, drink this over the course of an hour. Drink it over the course of 90 minutes if you want. Make a huge smoothie. Again, I give you details at the fat and toxic flushing breakfast recipe, but I tell people, put in 16, 20 ounces or more of fluid, of liquid. Put in a cup or two of berries in there. And download our smoothie guide. It tells you how to make smoothies for weight loss, how to make them for wellness, and it's completely free. And then what it will enable you to do is give your body what it needs, which is nutrients from carbs, fiber, and protein, all of them. Plus, this is what else it does. And a lot of people know this, that it hydrates you. Think about it. Most people wake up and what do? They either reach for some processed sugared orange juice or apple juice, which is going to just run right through you and spike blood sugar because there's none of the fiber, there's none of the skin, there's nothing with it. Or what they'll do is they'll just drink coffee. And where's the hydration? You need all of that water. So here's the nice thing about 80 to 90% of fruit is all water. And then you're going to add in your water to your smoothie. You can add a little bit of nut milk if you want to it. That works great. Again, we give you all these recipes. Go ahead and download it. It's completely free of the Wellness and Weight Loss Smoothie Recipe Guide. So after that, you can still keep your coffee if you want. I'm not saying that you can't do it. You can still keep your tea. Try to do it after your smoothie if possible. Try to do it after breakfast, mid-morning. You can really enjoy it, and it won't give you that cortisol spiking effect because it won't be on an empty stomach. So many podcasts on that. I also talk about, if you should skip breakfast or not. Some people should simply delay breakfast a little bit. Doesn't mean that you don't have to eat it. You could simply delay it in order to fast a little bit longer if you choose to. But I'm not going to turn today's show into a fasting podcast. You can actually check out a good podcast on episode 571, the 7 most common intermittent fasting mistakes. And then also, 1019, the 1-day diet, 7-day detox, and daily intermittent fasting to stay healthy. And we'll talk more about that. Okay, moving on, because number 1 is simply make yourself a smoothie to start the day. Download the recipe guide. Again, it's free. But even if you don't want to go through it, put in 16 ounces of water into a blender, okay? Put in another 4 ounces or 6 ounces of your favorite nut milk if you'd like. Coconut, almond, macadamia, hemp, oat, whatever you'd like. Then put in 1 or 2 cups of wild blueberries. If you want, you can use wild blueberries, you can use mixed berries, you can do whatever you'd like. Put in a half a frozen banana if you want. Throw in some Swiss chard, throw in some spinach if you'd like. If you're on a low oxalate diet, don't make that the excuse. Just move on to a different one, or don't add any greens at all. And then add in 2 scoops of something like the daily nutritional support powder, whatever you'd like. And then that's going to give you some protein. Blend it up, pour it into a 1 or 2 big mason jars because it's going to make a lot of fluid, and then sip that over the next hour to hour and a half. I'm telling you right now, that is what's going to nourish your body. Every cell in your body is going to get hydrated with that type of nutrition. Okay, number 2 is this. It's a little easier, a little simpler than the first one, but it's water. So after you get that smoothie in, why do I start with a smoothie? Because you're already going to get in 24 to 30 ounces. Remember, that cup of fruit is 80 to 90% water. You put in 2, you're going to get even more. So if you add 20 ounces plus another cup of fruit or so, you're going to be getting in, that's at least 3 glasses of water. I get in 4 glasses with my smoothie in the morning, and it does count because water from fruit is super hydrating. It has all the minerals attached to it, and even the little bit of glucose in the fruit actually helps you absorb water better. A lot of people never think about that, but actually some carbs in the diet actually help you hydrate your body to a greater level. They've shown that. They've shown this with endurance-based athletes, that actually adding some minerals from the fruit, adding a little bit of glucose helps with the uptake. So I'm not saying add a high sugar. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I certainly wouldn't recommend that, but that's a great recipe. Now, keep in mind, hydrate the body. Why? It's going to work on mood. It's going to work on energy. It's going to work on the joint pain. It's going to help decrease inflammation. This is what we need to be doing. Now, how much water do we need? Well, it kind of varies per person. It really does. If you have high blood pressure, get in more water. If you have low blood pressure, probably a little bit less, unless you add a lot more minerals to your water, namely Himalayan sea salt or rock salt or Celtic salt or Redmond's real salt. Any one of those are fine. There's many great ones, right? But just make sure it's a real sea salt. Okay, here's the other thing. Add in some lime. That lime is going to balance the potassium. It's going to be those electrolytes that you need. It's going to make your water a lot more tasty. Me drinking plain water, I could take it or leave it. Not really a huge fan. but I squeeze in some lime, like a whole lime in there, and then I put in a dash of my sea salt. That gives me the flavor. Really, really enjoy that. So here's what you can do though. Calculate your water just to get started based on half your body weight in pounds. So if you weigh 160 pounds, you're going to need 80 ounces of water. How much is 80 ounces of water? Well, it's 10 glasses of water, 8 ounces per glass. That's about 5 of a regular water bottle, that 16.9 ounce water bottle. So when you look at that, you can simply mark each water bottle that you drink. I recommend drinking out of glass water bottle if possible, or you can do what I do is I drink my big smoothie in the morning. Okay, so what is that? Well, that's 32 ounces or so of water. That's a liter. So that's 4 glasses right off the bat. Now, I'm also making sure that I drink a 1.5 liter bottle, glass bottle that I drink of mineral water every day. A lot of times it's Mountain Valley, but there's a lot of different mineral waters that I like. Or you can just bring it from home. So again, how many glasses of water is that? Well, it's about 33 ounces. So actually 33 ounces is 1 liter. So the liter and a half is another 16 ounces. So it's about 6 glasses of water. So now I drank 4. And then I drank 6 glasses of my liter and a half. So now I'm up to 10 glasses of water. I've met my quota. Now, the nice thing is I don't just stop for the day. When I get home with dinner, I'm typically that's when I drink my sparkling water. I'll drink a glass of, all sorts of different brands, but I'll drink a sparkling Pellegrino, a sparkling Mountain Valley. What's another one? The one that I can never pronounce with a G. It's a German brand. I don't even want to do it justice to try to pronounce it. That's one that I really enjoy as well. It's a white label. I can't pronounce it, but maybe on the Friday review, I'll do a Friday review on it and try to pronounce it. I'll figure out the video of someone actually giving it some justice and pronouncing it. But that's what I'll do at home, and I'll squeeze a nice lime in that. At that time of the day, I don't really need the sea salt because I'm kind of winding down, and what potassium does is it turns on more of that parasympathetic nervous system. And that allows me to also have a little bit of flavor at the end of the day, or a little bit of the sparkling. So it's kind of like a nice thing to drink instead of alcohol. So that's what I do. And I probably drink 12 glasses of water for the day. And that's what I'm doing on a daily basis. That's a little bit more than half my body weight. But again, if you can do it, better to get more water to flush your system, right? As long as it has the minerals. So huge advocate. Again, make this easy on yourself. Simply get a 16-ounce water bottle if you want, and fill it up 5 times. That's 10 glasses of water for the day. That's going to be great for most people. Now, again, your smoothie does count. If you have your ginger tea, that counts as well. You can do that. All right. The next one is this. After you've done the smoothie for breakfast, because it also pushes out all your cereal and your muffins and everything else you could be doing. So remember, it's process of elimination too. Or I shouldn't even say it is process of elimination, but in a good way this time. You're eliminating the foods that you shouldn't be eating, which then just by doing that make you healthier. That's why for some people fasting through breakfast, one of the big benefits they get out of it is that they're not eating those poor foods. Now, again, you can substitute some good foods in eventually once you decide to do that. Okay, so you get your water in. Now, what should we do? Well, what we need to do now is skip the snacking between meals. Check out the podcast, episode 705, The Truth Behind Your 3 Meals Per Day. Check that out. Episode 319, How Often Should You Eat? And episode 1132, How to Catch and Control Unconscious Eating. Because there's so many people out there right now that are not reaching their goals, wellness-based or weight loss-based, because they're unconsciously snacking between meals, even if it's a little something. Here's what happens. It can begin to elevate the blood sugar. It can begin to elevate insulin levels, which can elevate inflammation. It can also turn on the digestive system. And again, we want to turn off the digestive system between meals. We don't want it up and down all day long. What we want to do is breakfast, stop eating for what? About 4 hours or so. Lunch, stop eating for about 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours, because it's going to be a larger meal. Have dinner, and then stop eating after that, right? So 3 meals per day. I think I really try to sum that up in the show, The Truth Behind Your 3 Meals Per Day, because dysregulation of blood sugar leads to much faster aging. It also leads to much larger inflammation and absolutely does cause more weight gain. Now, for a lot of people out there might say, well, I lose weight too easily. Well, here's a couple things you can do. You can add more food at the preceding meal. So the only time I really recommend adding in 1 more meal per day, and again, there's always a case to be made for everyone. So again, if you're someone that's hypoglycemic, sure, I might actually do 3 main meals and 2 snacks. But that doesn't last forever. It lasts for like 12 to 16 weeks until I help you re-regulate your blood sugar. So here's the big thing though, is that if you're someone that, let's say you wake up early, let's say you have breakfast at like 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And then you have lunch at 11 a.m., and then you're not eating, because that's like 4 hours later. Let's say you're not eating then until maybe 6:30 at night or so. Okay, well, that's 7 hours, and maybe you do need something around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Okay, at that time, I'm going to recommend an easy to digest snack, right? Because it still is 3.5 hours or so from the meal before it. So at that time, you could do a second smoothie. You could do a handful of raw nuts or sprouted nuts. You could do some hummus and some veggies. There's a lot of great snacks that you can do. So I'm not against that for sure. And if some people, again, are on a diet where they're trying to gain a little bit more weight, well, sometimes that simply has to do with absorption. But you may do that mid-afternoon snack only if there's a window of at least 6 hours between lunch and dinner. Because you need to make sure that you're digesting each meal and not putting undigested food on top of partially digested food, right? That's going to create a lot of ama in the body, which is in Ayurveda is one of the biggest forms of toxins, right? Undigested food byproduct. So really important that we look at that and absolutely move to 3 meals per day. Keep in mind, this also does not mean reducing your calories. You can still eat the same calories if you'd like, just do them at 3 meals. And I'm telling you right now, eat enough at each meal to stay satiated, okay? Enough fiber, enough protein, enough carbs. And check out my previous shows on that as well. Again, we'll link them up. Everything will be linked up today at stephencabral.com/1271. All right, number 4 is this: 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. That's what I was talking about with that smoothie. The smoothie is the easiest way to do it. Here's why. Let's say that you're only eating lunch and dinner. You need to get in 4 cups, like 4 servings of fruit and vegetables at lunch and dinner. And you know that you shouldn't be eating your fruit with your whole proteins and meals like that, right? Unless you blend it all together. Different story. So we have to be really careful with this. If we're only eating 2 meals per day, can you get in enough of your highly charged, high antioxidant, high fiber foods that are going to enable you to stave off all of the top 4 causes of mortality? And remember, if you can make it through those 4, you're going to live a nice, long, healthy life. So what are those 4? Cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, high blood pressure and strokes, type 2 diabetes, and cancer, right? People are not getting type 2 diabetes and becoming overweight by eating a couple of cups of berries per day and 4 or 5 servings of vegetables. Trust me, they are not. Those carbs are not your enemy. They really are not. Anybody that's telling you that is they drank the wrong Kool-Aid. That's it. That's just the wrong school of thought. And in time, they will come across those answers as well. So really important. And again, keep in mind, I have nutrition plans that eliminate all fruit in the beginning as well. I do that for a period of 3 weeks. If you've seen our Equilibrium Nutrition 21-day detox, yes, we do that for a very specific reason. We're helping to re-regulate blood sugar levels, but then we're easing those back in. And I did a podcast called How to Transition Off a Low-Carb Diet. And I also did another podcast called How Not to Retox After a Detox. So this helps you ease back into a normal style of eating, because remember, no one was ever meant to eliminate all those high antioxidant foods from their diet. One more show that I have to share with you. It's episode 637. Use this as the foundation for all diets. It is on the Mediterranean diet, and I later follow up with the Nordic diet. To date, there is really not a more powerful diet for you than a Mediterranean-style diet. Doesn't need to be exactly Mediterranean. No. It can have influences from other areas, right? And you can play with the macros a little bit. However, those foods are naturally anti-inflammatory, great for heart disease. And remember, heart disease is still the number 1 killer in the industrialized world. Follow a Mediterranean-style diet. Anybody telling you different, trust me, it's short-term gains only. I want to think about you when you're 60 and 70. I don't want to think about just the 30 and 40-year-old you that's trying to get six-pack abs. Sure, I want that for you if you want that for you, but I don't want you to do it at the detriment of getting cancer and autoimmune and all sorts of issues when you're in your 50s, 60s, and beyond, all right? So let's pull it together, really all together. Use a good, solid foundation, and we can do that while still transforming our body. Because remember, a lot of the diets out there right now are just body transformation-based. They're not really wellness-based, and there's a huge difference. Okay, the last point today is this, and this is important. This might be the hardest, which is why I left it for last. It is stop eating 3 hours before bed. 2 hours at a minimum, 3 hours ideal. Why? It's because you want to go to bed already starting the fasting period. So you want to go to bed with a nice empty stomach so the food's moved into the intestines so that you're not using the energy, which is ramping up when you do eat, but you want your energy actually calming down. The food's already moved through the stomach and you can work on detoxification. Your body's job overnight, besides getting into the subconscious train of thought for the mind, but it's getting into the detoxification process for the body. Every form of medicine except conventional medicine talks about how the liver works on detoxification during the night. The kidneys are working. The lymphatic system, although slow, is processing a lot of these fats. So this is super important. If you have difficulty with snacking after dinner, start by using the snack as some cut up vegetables, right? Something like that. Maybe just a couple squares of dark chocolate. That's it. But eventually eliminating those. And I would love you after dinner to simply sip on some sparkling water like I might do. Squeeze some lime in there. Enjoy it. It has a little bit of flavor to it, okay? You make your own. Now, what you can also do is this. Right after dinner, because you know that you're not going to want to do this, you know that it might have a difficult time snacking, here's what I want you to do. Go and brush your teeth. Brush your teeth right after dinner as you're cleaning up. What that's going to prevent you from doing is snacking because most people don't want to brush their teeth again, right? They already did it. They have a fresh mouth. They don't want to brush their teeth a second time. So that's what I recommend. Just go there, brush your teeth, eat enough at dinner to feel satiated, plenty of vegetables so you get enough fiber, enough protein to stay satiated as well. And just really enjoy the process. Maybe read for a little bit in bed, put on your blue blocking glasses, and just get into a nice quiet zone, letting yourself know that you're doing this for a reason, not to deprive yourself, but actually the benefit, you're giving yourself a benefit of health, of longevity. And I'm telling you right now, if you stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed, you're going to wake up the next day with more energy. Why? Because your body gets into a deeper set of sleep cycles. So the body should get into about 3 to 4 deep sleep cycles per night. And by allowing yourself to already have the food moving out of the stomach, you're going to enable yourself to get into a deeper sleep, more relaxed, and more rejuvenated. And I think we all want that, right? So check out the episode that I did on intermittent fasting. Remember, if you stop eating at 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, it's going to enable you to easily get in 12 hours by 6 o'clock the next morning or 7 o'clock the next morning. Because really, you want to get in that minimum intermittent fast of 12 hours. That is your goal, 12 hours overnight, okay? The more hours before midnight, the better. Same with sleep. That counts for sleep as well, but we'll do that on another show. But really, you want to stop eating by about 6, 7 o'clock at night at the latest. 5 o'clock for real bonus points right there. But I try to stop eating by about 6, 6:30 because we have dinner typically around 6 o'clock. So that's what I'm doing realistically, right? Because everybody has activities going on and my girls have sports. I can get home sometimes a little late. So we're typically stop eating by 6:30. That's easy for me. I wake up at 5:30 the next morning. I don't eat for 2 hours upon waking. I'm eating around 7:30 a.m. for the most part. And that's allowing me to get in about 13 hours, sometimes 14 hours of intermittent fast. It works perfectly for me because my body does want some fuel when I wake up. It levels out my mood. It definitely gives me more energy. I feel more satiated. I have better workouts in the afternoon. So again, it is listening to your body, but remember, follow these steps first. Before you break the rules, you need to know the rules, right? So let's start the body with hydration, with all the good food and antioxidants and every vitamin mineral that you'll need for the day with your smoothie in the morning, right? And it also gets you some water, right? Because now we want those half your body weight in ounces of water per day. That's number 2. Number 3 is move to 3 meals per day. Get rid of the snacks, even if you just do it as an experiment for 3 weeks. Get rid of the snacking, add more to your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Your lunch should absolutely be the biggest meal of the day. I did a podcast on that and why. Move over to 3 meals per day. Actually, that's what I was just chatting about. 3 meals per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, at least 4 hours apart. Then make sure, once you've done that, right, your smoothie, your hydration, your 3 meals per day. Now at those meals, because you can eat whatever you'd like until you get to step number 4. Now make sure that you're getting in 2 to 3 cups of fruit or vegetable at each meal. And that's what's going to set you up for success, right? 3, 6, 9. If you could do that at each meal, there you have it. I mean, you are getting in all of those heart-healthy foods. And the last part is this. Try to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Gold star if you stop 3 hours before bed. Thanks so much for tuning in today's show. Really do enjoy these ones. I hope that it was helpful for you. If it was, let me know on Instagram. I mean, I love reading all of your comments there. It's just Stephen Cabral over at Instagram.com. If you're on your phone, that'll shift you over to the app. If you're not on Instagram, check it out. It's a fun place for us to connect. and would love to hear from you. Of course, if this podcast was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing rest of the day. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.